Welcome to our channel. We are sincerely trying to choose interesting stories, so we would really like to see your subscription.
Darn, I got too greedy, and those last 2 million might have triggered it. I should have just let it go. I sensed something was off with that bill. Crap, they're getting closer, even though they think I'm oblivious. Well, my plan for this will come in handy. It's fortunate I anticipated this. Who I am right now doesn't matter because this identity is about to vanish completely. In 2 hours, I'll transform into someone entirely different. The trail the hunters are following will hit a dead end before they can gather enough information about my identity or my intentions. As for who I am becoming, I'm a hacker. Quite a skilled and angry one. I have a selective list of targets, and I'm on a mission to hunt down drug cartels. I monitor their bank accounts, anonymously provide incriminating evidence to the authorities, and have been personally involved in the convictions of 4 politicians, at least 50 police officers, a dozen soldiers in various countries, and numerous petty traders. I've also managed to siphon over $100 million from their coffers. However, around 80% of that goes to various charities, mostly focused on drug addiction and rehabilitation programs. You might wonder why I do this. It all started when my little sister got involved with the wrong guy, and despite my efforts to stop her, she made her choice. I did my best to take care of her after our parents passed away. I've always been proficient with computers, but the dark years I spent in depressive isolation after identifying what was left of her body took me from being really good to almost magical. During those 2 years, alone in the basement of my parents' old house, I learned dark secrets and how to manipulate them. The pursuers after me are hired by the cartel I relieved of approximately $30 million. I probably should have stopped at $28 million, but greed got the better of me. As they closed in, I inserted a flash drive and executed a few keystrokes and mouse clicks, effectively cutting off the trail to me. The abandoned building I lived in burned down in a homeless fire, and I destroyed my hard drives and memory cards in a desert fire along with personal documents. Convinced it was impossible to obtain any information from the burning debris, I hopped into a van and drove west. 4 days later, I arrived in Las Vegas. Fast forward 5 years, and here I am asking for my wife Riley's help with a computer issue. She playfully scolds me for being bad at computers, and I can't help but feel lucky. 2 years since Riley and I got married, and I've successfully recreated myself. Working as a truck driver for a local lumber mill, I carefully withdrew money from offshore accounts to buy a modest 3-bedroom house with some land. I even built a hidden room for myself. Life seems good, and as I watch Riley in the kitchen, I can't believe my luck. I decided to enhance and modernize my computer system, utilizing a small storage room that served as a walkthrough. This room had a raised floor leading to underground stairs, giving the appearance of an ordinary concrete floor. I made a conscious choice to take a break from prosecuting dealers and cartels, having accumulated sufficient funds to sustain myself in case of any need. Discretion became crucial, and it was prudent to step back and let things cool down. However, I was reluctant to let go of my skills and stay updated on emerging technologies. The purpose of the store was to indulge in my hobby of building old muscle cars. Given my wife's lack of interest in this passion, she never ventured into my store. This setup also granted me the time and privacy to engage in online activities, including gaming, without arousing any suspicion. You might be wondering why I kept this part of my life hidden from her. The truth is, she knew me as a simple mechanic and truck driver with minimal knowledge about computers. When we met and started dating, it wasn't feasible to introduce myself as a hacker named Ghost in the Computer Underground. Firstly, law enforcement was actively searching for me due to several cyber crimes. Secondly, dangerous criminal organizations had marked me as a target, and being caught by them would result in a gruesome fate. Considering the risks involved, it was essential to keep her in the dark for her own safety. If she remained unaware she couldn't be exploited to extract any information, it was better that she only knew the man she married. Now, a bit about my wife. She is, in my eyes, the most beautiful woman on the planet. I've often come across stories where every woman is deemed the most beautiful, and I ponder how there can be more than one, but subjectivity plays a role, and from my perspective, she is a goddess. Standing at 5 to 6 inches with wavy coppery bronze hair cascading down to mid-back, emerald green eyes, 34D breasts, a small waist, flat tummy, slightly wide hips with an enticing derriere, and long, slender, toned and tanned legs. She possesses a thin nose, high cheekbones, dimples when she smiles, full kissable lips, and a chin that complements her features. As for how we met, I was working at the sawmill when she came in needing a couple of boards for shelving in her new apartment. During the selection process, she mentioned her limited skills with tools. Seizing the opportunity, I offered to install the shelves after work, with the condition that she buys the beer and lets me do it for dinner the next night. Following this dinner, which concluded with a chaste kiss on the cheek, there was no wild intimacy. The truth was, I harbored a fear of girls. Some context may be necessary. When I stole a substantial sum from the cartel at the age of 19, I was a skinny 6'1" to weigh 110 pounds computer nerd. My sexual experiences up to that point were non existent, and since arriving in Las Vegas, I had only engaged with prostitutes on 3 occasions. The first experience was disappointing. The second in a brothel showed more care, and the third, also in a brothel, was more immersive as I had the funds to explore and learn. To satisfy a woman, I was involved with someone I genuinely liked. It wasn't until our fifth date that we became intimate. Our evening began with dinner at the Stratosphere, followed by a visit to a lively dance club on the Strip. After indulging in an expensive bottle of wine and a few drinks, we spent 2 hours dancing before returning to my place. I used to find her beautiful, but without clothes, she appeared like a goddess. The wet sheets confirmed that everything was fine, and as long as I made her happy, I was content. Interestingly, the skills I learned from a past encounter with a prostitute and a year of sports and work had increased my muscle mass and endurance. Standing at 6'1" and weighing 220 pounds, I still considered myself a nerd. One thing worth noting is that I had never paid much attention to the size of my manhood. I assumed it was average despite the praises from past encounters with prostitutes, which I never truly believed. Riley and I dated for about 6 months before I proposed, and 6 months later we got married. We enjoyed a happy life together. Riley worked as an accountant for a national company in Las Vegas, and with our combined incomes, we lived comfortably, enjoying the best restaurants, shows, pontoon boat rides on the lake, and driving nice cars. Although we didn't have children yet, our love life was vibrant, with intimate encounters happening all around the house, including the backyard, pool, and hot tub. My routine involved spending time in my store after work, splitting it between working on machines and engaging in computer activities. While I didn't actively engage in theft or malicious activities, I did explore computer systems of banks, governments, and large businesses, demonstrating my technological incompetence to maintain a low profile. Hacking from foreign servers, I managed to keep my identity hidden. About 6 months ago, I noticed a change in Riley's behavior. Our intimacy reduced, she worked longer hours, and her demeanor became tenser. Sex occurrences dropped from 4 times a week to 2, and she often went straight to bed after dinner. When asked, she attributed it to a significant bill at work, and her occasional happy hours with coworkers became more frequent. After 6 months of this, I inquired about the duration, and Riley mentioned it might take another week or two to settle down. I decided she needed some pampering. Wanting to reward my wife for her hard work, I purchased a full-day spa package for her, scheduled for this Saturday. Presenting it to her on Wednesday night, she was delighted, and we ended up sharing an intimate moment in bed. Finally, Saturday arrived, and she left for her spa day at 9 a.m., kissing me before heading out. With her return expected at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I decided to spend my time working on an engine in the shop after enjoying my morning coffee. Taking a break after about an hour, I went to my computer room. Until now, I had deliberately refrained from hacking into Riley's company, considering it a boundary not to cross. However, curiosity got the better of me, and I logged in to check my security programs. I began contemplating what this significant account was, and the temptation to explore their servers crept in. Safety measures were easily bypassed, and I swiftly accessed Riley's computer where she was working on a project. Surprisingly, there was nothing remarkable about the new big client. I conducted searches related to winning a new account, but found nothing. Exploring her folders, I stumbled upon a locked one named Photos for Jake. Knowing Jake from corporate events, I opened the folder and was shocked to find dozens of explicit photos of Riley, including intimate moments and acts she had denied me. The revelation left me emotionally numb, contemplating a looming divorce. With a few hours before her return, I continued my search. I uncovered more shocking information in Riley's emails, discovering that her involvement with Jake had started about 6 months ago. It appeared they had been lovers for a year before she met me. Confused about why she began dating me in the first place, I also found emails mentioning accounting errors with large clients and their own company, along with references to an offshore account. Turning my attention to Jake's computer, I found photographs of Riley in various compromising situations. Realizing I needed more time, I copied their computers and company network folders to my server. In the personnel folder, I discovered a folder with my name, prompting me to install spyware on both computers and the server to track their activities. Putting work on my cars aside, I immersed myself in this investigation. When Riley returned from her spa day, she thanked me with a night of passionate intimacy. Despite feeling disgusted with her actions, I couldn't resist the opportunity for amazing sex. Even though I saw her as the devil incarnate, I couldn't pass up such moments. As Sunday arrived, the situation remained complex, and I had more discoveries to make. I returned to my shop, and Riley was still asleep. Seizing the opportunity, I decided to install spyware on her phone. This spyware would discreetly copy text messages to my computer system and record all phone calls separately. Additionally, I could track her online activities. Riley left around 10 a.m., mentioning that she was meeting a friend for shopping. Since she had disabled the Find My Friends app, I hacked into her car's GPS to monitor her location. Surprisingly, she did go to the mall. Making sure she wouldn't return soon, I took her laptop and quickly copied its contents to another hard drive. I installed a keylogger program and configured the camera for remote access. While checking her browser history, I stumbled upon a second email address and noticed multiple visits to a bank in the Cayman Islands, something to investigate later. To maintain the appearance of an ignorant, loving husband, I spent evenings at the shop, secretly sorting through the collected information. During this time, I discovered an exchange between Riley and Jake, where he warned her about deleting history on my laptop after use. Curiosity piqued, I delved into my laptop's data and found unexpected money transfers. Riley, following Jake's instructions, transferred about $50,000 from a fictitious account to a bank in the Cayman Islands, all using my computer. The revelation stunned me. As I continued investigating, I realized I unknowingly held the position of a computer security consultant hired by Jake, who was the head of their IT department. They consistently used my computer and IP address for the illicit money transfers. It dawned on me that I was being manipulated into a dangerous situation. Now it was time to change my approach, assess the severity of the situation, and determine my course of action. Upon checking the Cayman Islands account, I found nearly $10 million, with the illicit transactions initiated about 6 months after my marriage to Riley. To complicate matters, further exploration of my personnel file uncovered red flags, placing me squarely in the crosshairs when everything unraveled. Despite the gravity of the situation, I maintained a facade of normalcy, all the while formulating a plan for revenge. The next morning, Riley was summoned to a meeting with top executives, and chaos ensued. Meanwhile, several law enforcement vehicles arrived at my house. I locked up my secret room and, pretending to work on my car, greeted the police and FBI agents. They executed search warrants, and I cooperated fully, pretending ignorance about my wife's activities. Later, I was taken to the police station for questioning, maintaining my story that I was just a truck driver with no knowledge of Riley's actions. Despite hours of harsh interrogation, they realized I knew nothing. Riley was arrested, and Jake, her betrayed partner, testified against her. I had foreseen this and arranged for her legal representation. Though I hired a slightly subpar lawyer intentionally, Riley refused a plea deal, insisting on going to trial, claiming she was set up. I attended her bail hearing using our house as collateral. She was released with an ankle monitor, but I despised her. Even so, I played the part of a loving husband. The trial was intriguing, especially as Jake testified against her. Despite returning the stolen money, Riley denied full guilt. It was satisfying to witness her downfall and see justice served. I felt an overwhelming sense of triumph over the 3 days of Jake's testimony. Riley, my once soulmate, was now seen as a betrayer and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Observing her love for Jake transform into hatred during the trial was oddly satisfying, yet I had a sinister plan in mind for Jake. He would never know the reason behind his misfortune, or that I was the orchestrator. To eliminate any risk of exposure, I instructed my lawyer to modify the divorce papers, considering Riley's conviction and her lengthy prison term. She was served promptly. Next, I orchestrated a devious plan against Jake by opening accounts in Geneva, Switzerland, and the Cayman Islands, linking them to him through the dark web. I left subtle traces pointing to Jake's IP address, creating a trail that would confuse investigators. After 5 years, the ghost reappeared, detected by hacker chats. Now I had to make a move that would leave a mark but not directly implicate me. Navigating through 10 servers in 6 countries, I launched an army of bots targeting a bank. My objective was to transfer funds from Jake's new accounts. Once accomplished, I stopped the attack, severed my connection to Jake's computer, and observed the dark web for any reactions. Another bank fell victim to an attack, this time with $20 million transferred to an account in Switzerland. Dark web hacker boards ignited with discussions, and a group started tracking the trail. To escalate the situation, I returned to Jake's computer, transferring $20 million to another account and erasing all traces. Then I attacked another bank with a tracker-embedded account, this time for only $2 million. Money was not the primary goal. I wanted them to trace the tracker. A week later, I dismantled my computer room, turning it into storage, and completed paperwork for a property in Montana through a discreet C corporation. However, news broke about Jake being missing, with his car abandoned in a shopping center parking lot. The tormentors resorted to torture, demanding answers about the $20 million and the $30 million from 5 years ago. Jake, oblivious to my master plan, faced a harsh interrogation. Years ago, the warning was clear. Divulge information, face swift consequences. Ignoring the threat, I found myself ambushed near my car at the mall. A sudden prick in my neck and unconsciousness followed. Awakening on a private jet, tightly secured, the interrogation began. They accused me of theft, $20 million a few days ago, and an additional $30 million 5 years prior. Refuting my ignorance, they confronted me with undeniable evidence from my personal computer. Faced with a choice, provide answers and meet a quick end or endure unbearable agony, I realized I had no answers. Naked and restrained in a Colombian jungle bunker, I endured 3 days of torment. Beatings, whippings, and cattle prods were part of the escalating torture. Frustrated by my inability to satisfy their inquiries, I feared the horrors awaiting me in the coming days. Moving on, Jake, tortured and killed in Colombia, marked a grim end. Accepting a new identity, I sent my belongings to a Denver storage facility via an anonymous bank transfer. Riley, now handcuffed opposite me, pleaded for help, denying the allegations. Unmoved, I insisted on divorce and revealed Jake's demise. Riley, shocked, claimed innocence and begged for assistance. I recounted a story from 5 years ago, a skilled hacker known as the Ghost who sought revenge on those who betrayed him. Riley's eyes widened as I painted a vivid tale. As Riley faced the grim reality of imprisonment, I left her with a chilling story. Her outburst and futile attempt to attack me only solidified the distance between us. Boarding a disposable car, I headed to the mall to embrace a new identity.